Okay. Uh, Hello. Can y'all hear me? I'm not sure if the audio is working. Hello. Hello. Can y'all hear me? Just type in the comment section if you can hear me. All right, everybody. So I'm just kind of doing some tagging right now. I'm just shooting the shit. So if anybody's watching, feel free to talk with me right now. Let's just have a conversation before, cause like this is gonna be a really chill stream right now. Yeah, I'm streaming. So yeah, just to let y'all know. Yeah. Just right now, I'm just sort of like getting everything set up, and basically, yeah, I'm just streaming. Just right now, I just want to talk with y'all. If y'all in the comments, how was your day, man? How's your day, Jacob? What's going on? This is just gonna be like a really chill stream. Nothing too crazy. All right, so now I just did the tagging. Yeah, I think I might get rid of those tags. I don't think that's really necessary. Let me hashtags. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of those hashtags. So all right. So let's take a look. Yeah, this is perfect, decent, nice, 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 pretty decent. Mine not too bad. Watch some Supernatural. I'm actually having a beer and a pop right now, so I just felt like I felt like doing this, and I thought, you know what, why not do this live? By the way, my reading's absolutely fucking terrible. History's lowest IQ. Call me that. History's lowest IQ. That's all you guys. All right, first question. If you have nothing to hide, then shouldn't you care about the government having access to your communications? By the way, I have a bit of a stutter. I try to usually edit it out. If you have nothing to hide, then shouldn't care about the government having access. I guess it depends on the crime. My government does have to have access to some level of privacy, but I think you are entitled to some level of privacy. So I'd say I disagree. There needs to be a good justification for intervention. Maintaining family values is essential. That also depends on what you deem as family values. I'd say, like, yeah. Let's talk with you. Okay. What beer? I think Perone. Perone, I think, is vegan. I'm not sure. Like, I think I haven't seen you around, Jacob, before. I'm not sure if you just found me through the search algorithm. Man, fucking privacy, government, hive mind, brought me up. Yeah, yeah, I guess. like because I haven't seen you here before, so I may as well let you know what I'm about a lot of different philosophies. Jack Donovan's philosophy of masculinity, veganism, Stoic philosophy. I like philosophical concepts too. Whether this be epistemological, so like I talk about a lot of things from culture to red pill, veganism. Like I talk about a lot of different things here. So keep in mind, like I'm not just like a one trick pony here. My family is full of divorced homosexuals in red states. Oof, dang. Yeah. I mean, honestly, my attitude is I'm against anybody's right to marriage. I mean, like, when I mean marriage, like, I think, the idea of it's good. I just don't like government intervention in your bedroom. Like, the idea of it to me is just, it's a bit out of date. It's way out of date. Maintaining family values is essential. Like, I agree, but, like, I'm not, like, gonna, like, be a dick about it. Like, I wouldn't go so far as to, like, actually, honestly, no. I'm pretty progressive on, like, when it comes to like accepting LGBT people, but I'm like I think family values like like if you're gonna have a family, you should have family values. But I'm not gonna push it down somebody. Like, what does strongly agree mean? I'd say I agree. Like certain people, it's not for. Like if you really don't want to have kids, then you're probably not gonna be a good parent, and maybe you shouldn't have kids. The very existence of the state is a threat to our liberty. I'd say the existence of human, I'd say society is a threat to freedom. So I'd say neutral. Actually no. The existence. No, I disagree. Because even under anarchy, there could be some form of authorities can reemerge, and so can any level of authoritarianism. So government's kind of, yeah. Wait. For some reason. Right. You're taking a political compass quiz. You're probably not a one trick, but I want Uncle Sam to give me a tax break because of my wife. Yeah. Murder liberty. I mean, honestly, I can respect anyone's position. I think I'm slightly more left leaning economically. Actually, honestly, I don't even know where the fuck I land anymore, to be honest with you. Beforehand, I was kind of like more right leaning. And then there's a few things that happened to me recently that I think pushed me a little bit further to the left. I'm not sure if you want to hear about it. The government should monitor all citizens to combat terrorism. No. I think there needs to be a good justification for monitoring citizens. There needs to be a justification, right? I disagree. If we accept migrants at all, it is important that we have that they assimilate into our culture. I would strongly agree. A little bit of multiculturalism is fine. A little bit of multiculturalism is healthy, but I lean more towards assimilation, and I'd say multiculturalism in general does have a lot of issues, and I've lived through culture clashes, and it's not fun. It's really not fun. It's like being around different groups and different tribes of children that just don't want to get along. So what pushed me? Okay, so it pushed me a little more to the left. I saw Pedogate, and I had a existential crises a little bit. Like, so it was by Mouthy Buddha, and if there's one thing I realized is, even though capitalism is probably the best thing that I can think of right now, I never thought of the actual victims, and I'm not talking about people that are in economic poverty. I'm talking about children that were born into like a sex trafficking ring, when a multimillionaire like or billionaire like Jeffrey Epstein can get away with it for so long. Like if you're a pedophile and if you're a millionaire, billionaire, musician, we worship you and your finances. The gap between the wealthy and the poor, how easily the wealthy can escape the justice system really disgusts me. So it's actually not about free college university. I don't give a fuck about that. What I really care about, the core of it, is the concept of justice. And if justice isn't evenly distributed, then it's not just. But I think a lot of my leanings is relative. Like a lot of my economics has been influenced by libertarianism and the idea of incentives in the market. So a lot of my beliefs are still kind of similar. And I'm still pretty empathetic towards right-leaning libertarians, in a lot of ways. The modern era militarism aren't really necessary. Basically, in short, it's like I said, justice really. But even then, I don't know what it would solve the gap between the wealthy and the poor, because unfortunately, one of the things is obviously weakening patent laws, weakening copyright laws, making it easier for people to break into the market, the free market. That's one huge thing. The second thing is there's a bit of an issue with automation. So, I mean, and then the thing is too much government intervention and bad government intervention can increase the gap between the wealthy and the poor. So, I'm not sure what to do. There will always be cultural clashes, do riots, even if homogeneous groups will get sectarian. Wait, I'm a terrible reader. Sectarian violence or some shit along fairly minuscule lines. I mean, yeah, there will always be culture clashes, but realistically, I think people should integrate into some by the way, Jacob, are you left leaning, right leaning? I'm curious, where are you at? Keep in mind, like, I have communists subscribed to my channel, libertarians. I have my subscriber base is pretty diverse because I've talked to them. Some of them are liberals, some of them are conservatives. Modern era militarism aren't really necessary. Neutral. Militarism. I mean, like, actually, maybe I should Google militarism. Maybe there's an exact definition for it I'm unaware of. So let's look. Okay, yeah, that's just the military. What a shocker. So let's go back here. I would say, yeah, by the way, where I live in Canada, the police sirens is a bit of a national anthem. So I'm gonna stand for a second. I'm just joking. Yeah, get ready for the police sirens in the modern era of militarism. Yeah, I'd say I disagree. Like, you need the military. Actually, no, I'd say I strongly disagree. It's not that you need a big military. It's that you do need a military and you do need an alliance to really keep your back safe. Like, even if you're the most powerful country, that can change in 100, 200, 500 years. It is more important to retain peaceful relations than to further our strength. Neutral. Like, it really depends on the situation, right? Being peaceful can also be a sign of being a pacifistic individual that might actually put more of a target on your head. But at the same time, you don't want to be too gung-ho. Like, if anything, being aggressive is actually a little bit better because it forces people to take you seriously. You don't want to be internationally passive unless there is a unless the military standing over you is something like the United States that's going to crush you. And even then, if you're too passive, then everyone else will. It's kind of like a crowd. Like, it's kind of like being in the school and letting one bully pick on you. If you let one of them pick on you, then they'll all pick on you. But at the same time, you don't want that one bully to stab you or shoot you. So I'd say I kind of disagree. Or no, neutral. Religion usually provides the truth. Metaphorically true, factually false. So objectively not true. Metaphorically, there are many truths in religion. And this is something that a lot of atheists, a lot of agnostics sometimes don't pick up on. So I'd say, like, I disagree. So yeah. Left lib. Militarism. Yeah. Like, honestly, one of the things is, like, there's a portion of the left that's actually incredibly intellectually intelligent and fun to talk to. And then there's a portion of the right that is absolutely very difficult to talk to. But I find more of the right a little bit easier to talk to. But there's a portion of the left that are really, really, really intelligent. And then there's a small fraction of the right that I think of some of the most intelligent people I've ever talked to. Actually, no. No, yeah. National cultures are important to protect. Actually, no. What's a better way to say it? On average, I think a better way to say it is on average, I tend to have more issues talking to people on the left. A lot of very politically correct, authoritarian type individuals that can't recognize that national cultures are important to protect. Um, Not really. I mean, you want to protect your culture, but your culture changes at the same time. Like, you don't really want to be. Cultures change. But there's cultural values. So I mean, like, I guess it depends. I want to keep it in the sense I want people to assimilate, but honestly, I don't care if it changes too much. I just want people to assimilate. Some freedom must be given up in order to keep people safe. Um, kind of. Like that's why we have some level of like authority, like the police, and even if you lived in an ANCAP society, there's always going to be some level of authority keeping people in line. Um, so I kind of agree, but at the same time, like that's very circumstantial. Elders in society know the best path for it. Um, Neutral. Just because you're older doesn't mean you're doesn't mean that you're right. It usually means you're wiser. It usually means you have more experience and you might be more right on certain things. Like usually we elect people that are older. And I'd say it's usually a good thing that we elect older people, that we have older people running a nation. You have people with more life experience, people that are more calm, people that have had more time to confront their insecurities and their own character faults. Um, but at the same time, being older doesn't make you right, so I'd say neutral. Hmm. What was it? Actually, before I continue this stream, I think I'm gonna chill out this stream on a few places. Yeah, sorry I keep clicking that button again. I'm actually gonna just chill this stream out in a few places really quick here. I think I'm just gonna throw that in general. Boom. Join my stream. Where else am I going to? I guess maybe I guess I could do this here. Join y'all. And where else? Join for chill fun. Yeah, I guess I could chill this out. Yeah, give me a sec. I'm just gonna chill this out. Join for a chill stream. Also, I actually really like just talking to my subscribers, because I really appreciate every person who subscribed to me, people that just click on my channel. I think a lot of people say it like it means a lot, but I like when you put hours into just making one video. Like if I put like fucking 5 hours into making a 7-minute video, just trying to get all my ideas out, and if 20 people watch it, but if out of those 20 people, there's like 200 minutes watched. And sometimes that happens. Like sometimes you get like 10 people watch your video, but you have like 3 hours watched, 2 hours watched. Like that means the world to me that somebody like enjoyed it enough to like really watch it. So yeah, like just actually talking to you guys and hearing your thoughts, it's kind of cool. It's one of like the nice things about streaming is like you just like chilling, just hanging out. And also what's cool about streaming is like there's no it's not like you have time to put on facade. It's not like I have time to create this caricature. I'm just hanging out, being me. Oh, excuse me. Like I said, I'm drinking a pulp, having a beer. I actually, the moment after I'm done, like a little bit after, in a few more days, I'm gonna clear out the junk food, and then I'm going to go back on like a clean diet again because it's like the holidays, so I'm kind of like cheating a lot. Alright, I shared this stream out a few places, and let's put this here, and then we're done. There we go here, go here. Alrighty. Do we get any more viewers? Oh yeah, we got a few more people watching now. That's awesome. Okay, everybody. If anyone else is in the chat, let me know how you're doing. Let me know how your day's going. Let's talk. Let's talk. Religious organizations often provide better assistance to the poor than the government does. I'd say like that depends upon a number of X factors, like how many people you have in that religious organization. But I think in general, I would actually have to say I sort of agree, because people are doing it. Actually no. I'm not sure. I don't have stats. On one hand, there's a part of my brain that thinks that these people are more motivated to help their community of their own accord. They're not doing it just because they're getting a paycheck. They're doing it because this is what they want to do. Whereas someone in the government, it's more bureaucratic. They don't really care. It's kind of cold. In the religious community, like they actually kind of want to help their community, but at the same time, like in like a giant city, you don't have the resources to help millions upon millions upon millions of people. Especially if they're not all going to church and not all of them are donating. But if you have like a small community and people donating to church, then it's going to have the resources. So I'd say like honestly unsure. It really depends on the situation. Illegal immigrants should be deported in most or all cases. I guess like illegal immigrants. There's always a part of my heart that empathizes with these people. Like they fucking go through hell and high water to come to your nation. Like they kind of go through, let me get rid of that. I had the wrong link in the description. Just corrected that. Religious organization. By the way. Oh, hype from Discord. Okay. Religious organizations often couple with aid with utilitarian motives. By the way, hype. Do you want to actually pop in here and actually chat with me, and like, do you want to be in the stream? Simple question. If you do, I don't mind showing you an invite, because I already know you. I know you're not gonna start anything. So I mean, like, I'll just give you an invite if you want to. You can join. If you don't, you don't want to. Yeah, Height's a very respectable and very consistent individual. Yeah. If anyone gets a chance to talk to him on Discord, he's on my Discord. He's in my Discord server. And he's actually a very respectable, consistent individual. Device not connected. It says device not connected. So I see you're trying to enter, but your guest needs to connect the mic cam before they... Yeah, so you can't really enter the stream just yet. So for the other people watching, how are you doing? Because I know someone else is watching this right now. Stream. Okay, illegal immigrants. There's a part of me that empathizes with the illegals as I get older. Because like, they go through hell and high water to get here, but at the same time, there's a part of me that just goes, get them all the fuck out. Like, because if you start letting in illegals, then that sends a signal to immigrants throughout the nations, and they can all come here. So, illegal immigrants should be deported. I mean, like, yeah, I kind of agree. Like, if you want to help immigrants, here's what you do. You fucking... If you want to help people outside of your nation, here's what you can do. You can, honestly go vegan. Internationally deflate the cost of food. There we go. 80% of the world's land goes to animal agriculture. The lowest estimate I've seen is 50%, and it only reproduces like 20 to 18% of the world's food. So there we go. It's not a job to take in everyone from across the world, and we don't have the resources for that. Instead, what we need to do is try to make it a little bit more affordable in their own countries, and just be willing to do small things. It's important that we maintain the traditions of our past. Question 14. Strongly disagree. I mean, I'm actually for tradition. No, I'm for traditions. Actually, I'd say I disagree. I'm for traditions, but just because it was in the past, it doesn't mean that it needs to be maintained. Or, honestly, maybe it was neutral. No, there's a difference between traditions and traditions of the past. Like, I'm for traditions. It's just some of the things in the past need to stay in the past. Like, I'm very pro. Like, I'm actually. I guess I should go back and maybe just do I agree. Like, can I? Yeah, I'll go to previous. I would say neutral. Yeah. And let's see. Yo, Height, did you try to get back in here? Reject ideologies, embrace beans. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Yeah, pray to beans. Pray to Allahu Bean Bar. Allahu Bean Bar. Immigrants should be expected to learn the languages of the country. Fuck yes. The strongest leadership, the better. Like, what is strong leadership? Like, sometimes being passive in the correct circumstance is strong leadership. Sometimes being aggressive is a strong like, what is strong leadership? I'd say generally yes, but I think most people don't know what the fuck strong leadership is. Anybody who wants to enter the country should be able to. No, I disagree. The more people asked, the better chance there is of reaching the best decision. The more people asked, the better chance there is of reaching the best decision. So more people ask you something, there's a better chance there is of reaching the best decision. I guess the more people's opinions. Honestly, I kind of agree. Like, in and of itself, it's kind of appealing to popularity, which isn't always fallacious, but it's good to hear what the people want of your nation. And as a leader, you should be aware of what they want. Obviously, you can't always make a decision because it's popular to do so. Sometimes you have to stand by your principles. War is never justified. Strongly disagree. War is sometimes justified. Any deals other countries want must be bad for us. Fuck no. A deal another country could want could be mutual. So I mean, I'd just say neutral. Circumstance from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. I haven't heard that saying before. By the way, Height, if you want to try and rejoin here, feel free to. You still have the link. I don't know what's wrong with your device. Legal immigrants could also benefit from immigration reform, giving amnesty to dreamers in exchange for increased funds. Yeah, like, I understand dreamers, right? You don't want to punish the children for illegally crossing, right? But at the same time, you also don't, the goal is not to send, like, my issue with illegals is I don't want to send the signal to everyone to many people across the third world to try and illegally immigrate to a certain country. Like, and honestly, like I said before, and also when it comes to, like, economics, like, who really benefits? Sure, it'd be good for the fact that you have more people in your taxpayer system. Like, in the United States, you have about 3 million immigrants. If you deported 3 million immigrants at this point, it would actually be devastating for your economy. Like, regional economies could collapse. But at the same time, I don't want to send a signal for all of them to come over here. But at the same time, Like the way how I see it is, we should make it more affordable for people to live where they live. Any deals other countries want must be bad for us. What kind of isolation? Yeah, like it's so subjective. Uh, from each accordance to his ability, to each accordance to his needs. I guess that kind of sounds like socialism. I don't know. I've never heard of that phrasing before, or at least it's not something I'm familiar with. Is what I mean to say. So I mean, like I guess it does kind of sound like socialism-ish, like from each according to his ability. So I mean, like I guess I kind of disagree, or uh, yeah, I guess kind of disagree, or like yeah, I believe there is something after death. Um, Neutral, unsure. People born to wealthy families have unfair success even when they aren't skilled and don't work hard. Once again, an economy is not necessarily about what is necessarily fair and just, and completely it's about what is efficient first and foremost. Second off is about what is just, because if justice creates more atrocities, then it's pretty terrible. Which is kind of like the sad thing. So yeah, sure, is it unfair or maybe unjust that actually it's unfair in that sense, but I mean like it's also fair in the sense that their parents worked for that money and now they can inherit it. So I mean like what do I think? I think I kind of agree. I want to bridge the income inequality gap. It's literally Marx. Oh. Oh, okay. I'm going to go back a little bit. Strongly disagree. I believe there is something after death. Neutral, people born. Agree. Okay, so 10% done. It's a good idea to test a policy in one state rather than implementing it in nationwide right away. Actually, I strongly agree with that. Like, I'd actually be I'd be open to testing a lot of different economic models on a small scale. I think, like, a lot of people that want economic policies passed nationwide should consider testing it first and then collecting the data, then reviewing the data. Direct democracy is the best form of government. I haven't read enough about direct democracy. So, I like it, the idea of it, but I haven't read enough. Religion does not belong in the government. Yeah, I kind of agree. Separation of church and state. Yeah, I'd say I strongly agree. Well, at the same time, you have religious holidays, right? But it's not, but is it, like, yeah, but it's a holiday. So, like, I guess outside of holidays, yeah, I strongly agree. Separation of church and state. The wealthy have far more than they need. Yes, I strongly agree. I don't know what policies I'd even be for, but I want to close the gap a little bit more. Local governments give each region good representation of their views. Oh, yeah, by the way, before I actually say anything, if anyone wants to talk to Height in Discord, he's actually very philosophically educated. And he's actually very, not only is he very consistent, but he's actually very honest. Like, I've met a lot of people that call themselves feminists, but a lot of them are just virtue signaling annoying cunts. Like, Height is so genuine, and he's very honest, and he's very willing to hear someone out. So if anyone you want to have a actual deep philosophical conversation, direct democracy is where everyone votes on everything. much more feasible now, interestingly, due to technology. Yes, but at the same time, like I said, I haven't read about it, so I don't want to. I don't want to put my head up my ass. So I'm just gonna say neutral because I haven't read up on it. Separation of church and state. Yeah, they kind of do. What do you mean they kind of do? Paw the dog. Kinda. What do you mean? What do you mean? Local governments give each region good representations of their views. No, I think it. Like, I fucking hate that idea. Like, I hate the idea that your vote is popular in the region you're in. And also, the other thing, too, is you're going to create immigrational animosity. So if leftists start immigrating to red states to make it left, like blue, then the red is going to hate them. So if you just have it, if you have it based off popularity, like the popularity of the overall nation, it doesn't matter where people live. You're incentivizing rigging your democracy or republic by immigration, by domestic immigration in your country. You're actually incentivizing it, and more importantly, I don't like the idea of it. I never really did. Like, basically, in my opinion, whoever gets the majority of votes should be prime minister or president. Yeah, I don't believe certain areas deserve more representation than others. You know, do I believe, the benefits of open borders would outweigh the cost. The benefits of open borders would outweigh the cost. Honestly, I haven't looked at the cost-benefit analyses, so I can't say that right off the top of my head. It's mostly I just empathize more with my people in my own nation, my own country. Like, yeah. So, like, I guess I empathize with people like blue-collar workers who might have to compete with an influx of labor. Because if you have a strong influx of labor, it can devalue the cost of labor. And the cost of labor will be devalued based off of how many people are in the market. So if you give me a statistic saying, well, immigration only decreases it by 2% or 10%, like, that's relative to how many immigrants you have coming in your nation. But at the same time, overwhelmingly, immigration is better for the nation. But at the same time, in the short run, it does actually affect the most vulnerable groups in your nation. And more importantly, our politicians really just don't give fuck all about people. Like financial debt traps, no, you're actually very genuine. There's a lot of people that will adopt a philosophy based off of perceived virtue or perceived popularity. People pick beliefs for the wrong reasons because it's popular for the parents or because they want to be likable, whatever. And it's really annoying. You actually stand by your principles. You actually believe what you're saying, and I respect that. I wouldn't call myself a feminist anytime soon, but I can definitely respect the fact that you're consistent. My opinion on the Bean Church. Well, I think Kinder Bean is going to overtake Chickpea Jesus. It's my opinion. Yeah, all hail rice and beans. The apocalypse comes in the form of a steak, and it ends in the form of of a heart attack. Abortion should be illegal in all cases. Strongly disagree. Like, honestly, this is my biggest issue when it comes to pro-lifers. Like, most, like actually I had this talk with somebody a while back who is relatively conservative, and he actually considered going vegetarian or vegan because of this. I actually made my case that most people aren't willing to give up small little things such as even meat in order to actually meet sustainable goals for water, for international food output. Like a lot of conservatives, what I'm trying to say here is they want to sort of embrace a free market, but at the same time, a lot of people that talk a really big game about voting with your dollar don't really seem to care about making the best choice for the economy itself. Like when you look at it from an economic standpoint, even if you're not a vegan, the most intelligent decision is to be plant-based or reducitarian of some sort, even if you don't adopt the ideology. Yeah, most of them don't want to give up any of the luxuries. And there's a lot of conservatives that are very pro-life, which there's going to be more kids, meaning there's more mouths to feed. And like animal products internationally inflates the cost of food. That is a fact. That is not debatable. So, right now I'm going to put that, I'm going to put that right now in the description, a little study about that. I'm going to put that in the description in case anybody wants to read up on that. One sec. Yeah, so let me just get in my archive. World hunger. Here we go. Yeah, I just put a study right there in my stream. So if anybody wants to read what I was talking about, it's right fucking there. What is your stance on potatoist state oppression? They've been beanists because of their ideals. Yeah, I mean, I'm team. I'm a bean supremacist. I got. By the way, Paw the dog, do I know you on Discord? Do I know you? Are you a subscriber or are you just a random viewer? But whoever you are, welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. But I guess I empathize more with the beans, more of a bean supremacist. Potatoes are second-class citizens. There is no need for local or state governments. There's no need for local or state. That's kind of stupid. International aid is a waste of money. Kind of agree actually, because no, I'm actually neutral. No, I kind of do agree because unfortunately sometimes international aid is not what you think it is. It's actually sometimes the money goes to politicians and not to credible charities. And unfortunately it also works as a bribe. So your state could argue that they're giving to international charity, which actually goes directly into the money of the politicians in another nation. But it also, that bribe strengthens an alliance. Which honestly, if if giving money to another nation helps you, I don't know, get what you want from a deal from that nation, to some extent I get it, but at the same time, just do it honestly if you're gonna do it. Like if people are going to put money in the pockets of somebody, just do it honestly and transparently is what I'm trying to say. Don't try and cover it up. So that's one of my biggest issues with international aid. But at the same time, I'm not looking through the statistics, so I can't really say if it is bad. So I'll just say neutral because I can't say that I've read through the statistics or anything. I like the idea of it. I just don't like how I just don't like how easily it can be taken advantage of. War is neat. And the thing is, there's a lot of left-leaning liberals that don't really understand that sometimes what sounds good on the news isn't what happens in the real world. Hashtag the naive liberal. Obviously, not all liberals like that. War is needed to make an economy thrive. Uh, Strongly disagree. Popular opinion is not always right. Strongly agree. The sacrifice of some civic liberties is necessary to protect us from acts of terrorism. That's all dependent on the circumstance. The government has no business looking into most people's personal lives. You need a good justification, so neutral. The government can look into your past if they think your committing crime. Society was better many years ago than it is now. Strongly disagree. International trade is generally beneficial. See, this is one of my issues. Like, international trade is great for the economy, but unfortunately, if you shut down, like, let's say a factory, and let's say the jobs go overseas, on one hand, it's good because you're decreasing the cost of products in your nation, but at the same time, unfortunately, what I'm trying to say is sometimes the gains from our economy just gets trafficked into the hands of few, especially in the modern day of automation. And that kind of does destroy my argument because like the workers are already being automated away. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is international trade is generally beneficial. I'd say I agree, but it can also be a very disastrous thing. Whistleblowers should be strongly protected. Yeah, I strongly agree. Communism, if implemented correctly, would be a good form of no. Government should be accountable to the international community. Neutral. The international community is kind of it's kind of frightening to some extent. The fact that there is the fact that it's kind of like the EU, the globalist organizations we have, like the United Nations or EU, the amount of power that they have and how difficult they are to actually vote, and how bureaucrat a lot of them feel like they're really detached from the average working Joe. Like it's almost like a government on top of government. And what am I trying to say here? The point I'm trying to get across here is it is a little scary, but at the same time, like, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling right now. What I'm really trying to get at is, unfortunately, what is popular in the international community is not always the right thing. But at the same time, we do need to be held accountable. But at the same time, a lot of things that are accountable are absolutely absurd. Because what is popular amongst the most amount of nations isn't always the right thing. Because all these nations are being very selfish. Well, not all of them. A lot of them are being selfish. Representatives rarely represent the nation well. Yeah, some truth to that. I support gay marriage. I support no marriage. So I'd say neutral. Because I'm not for anyone getting married. Get the state out of my bedroom. Laws should not be based on religion. Yeah. No cultures are superior to others. Strongly disagree. I mean, I am proud to be in my country. Honestly, I'll be very straight with you. No, I'm not. I'm not. And I'll tell you why. There are a shit ton of homeless people outside. And I just mean tons of fucking homeless people. And across Canada, there's lots of homeless people. And the thing is what happens in Canada if you're homeless, a lot of people think in the first world it's all fucking hunky-dory. Guess what? I've actually met people that have known people for years that were homeless, that froze to death. Like Canada, some of Canada's a fucking tundra. It is cold in the winter. If you're homeless, you can fucking die up here. It can be a death sentence. And obviously it's a first world country, right? But I'm not proud to be here anymore. I'm actually, there's a lot of things that make me very sick and tired of being here. The constant cost of living, the amount of homeless people, how wealthy this country is, and if they wanted to end homelessness, this country could probably do it. The constant gynocentric view of the fact that men are falling behind in education, yet there's more female scholarships, there's more women's shelters, and I am just sick of it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of this one character. I think his name's called Terrence Popp. I'm not a huge fan of him, but I watched one of his interviews. And in his interviews, his true character comes out, and he's actually a really respectable guy, but he says some shit that fucking just makes me want to throw up. Like, his own fan base thinks that he panders to his incel audience. He's a MGTOW content creator, and something that he said was, when he was reading through the studies, there were more men in the United States that committed suicide because of their spouses cheating on them than the war in Iraq. And then when they come back, usually the divorce courts tend to favor women. And that could be partially because our legal system and our culture views women as better caretakers than men. So you could say that it's misogynistic or some shit, and maybe you could make a good argument off that, but regardless, we're in an economic transition where a lot of people are being left behind. We have a lot of homeless people. I fucking hate the divorce courts. I fucking hate. I just hate. Not all, but a lot of progressive policies like more women's shelters, men's shelters, female scholars. I'm sick of the jazz. Yeah, and once again, I'm not trying to say like. Honestly, government is really outdated. A lot of our policies are outdated, and big businesses have more influence, such as copyright laws. Like there's small bands that have been sued for making songs similar to other musicians. Like, you have to have a Patreon if you're a musician nowadays. Like, selling albums is legally dangerous. Disney got fucking their copyrights by lobbying the government. Now they have international copyright laws. Like, if you are rich, the government keeps you in place. Like, whoever climbs to the top, it is easy to stay there because of copyright laws. And I'm just sick of it. Like, it's just, yeah, and I know it sounds like I'm bitching and whining. I am sick of outdated policies from just sellout politicians who just want to look good. Foreigners should never enter the country. Yeah, I strongly disagree. I enjoy some folk culture. Yeah, I strongly agree. Humans cause climate change is currently one of the greatest threats to our kind of kind of agree. On Judgment Day, we will determine if you are hot beans or lukewarm beans, and if you're lukewarm, he'll split you out. Only the beans that have accepted the Lord bean and reject all other foods can go to Beaven. Yeah, Beaven, where you always have bean hookers. Beautiful place. Venus, the holy bean, are the part of the trine bean, and I accept all. But remember, Venus says, love the plate neighbor. Such holy words from the beanist. Yeah. Some shit like that. Yeah, I just feel like our politicians are, I feel like our politicians are spineless shells that, I feel like us politicians are spineless shills that are there because of privilege and power. They're not there because they're actually really good at their job. And I am I'm just sick of yeah, and honestly it kind of makes me sick. Like the first world to some extent is like a financial death trap when it comes to debt, like college debt, credit card debt, like the some of our business models in our government is really just designed. Sorry, some of the business models in our economy is just designed to be predatory on the working class, and I feel as if our governments are empowering predatory businesses, and yeah, you play your game by the books. You go to school, get out of school, get an engineering degree. You come out of school, your engineering field no longer has any openings. You're in debt for life. You go to war, you get married. You get married, you go to war. You fight for your country, you come back, and then you get divorced, raped. And for your sacrifices, that's what you get. All the homeless people and all the rich people. Man, that stuff it drives me up the wall. Like, I don't mean to make it a sad New Year's, but man, that stuff pisses me off. The United Government would be beneficial for mankind. Kind of would be. But it could also be totalitarian and fucking tyrannical. Imagine the irony of politicians extolling the virtues of our meritocracy. Extolling? I'm not sure if I've heard that word before. Yeah, extolling. Never heard of that. Imagine the irony of politicians praise enthusiastically the virtue of our meritocracy. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like, an easy way to say it is like our North America is like a wealthy nations that have been putting band-aids on problems that need open surgery. Divorce, automation. Like I kind of like the idea. I'm not sure if UBI is the right way to go because I haven't read enough about it, but I like the idea of it. Protects minorities better than some local governments do. The national government protects minorities better than some local governments do. Neutral. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of circumstantial, right? It also depends on the bias of the local community versus something like, I don't know. Oh, excuse me. In order for humanity to survive, we must get past having separate nations. In order for humanity to survive, we must get past. Yeah, but that's like way out in the future. In theory, I totally agree. Yeah, that like inevitably the world will probably globalize one day. Because as we escape from a scarcity market, there will be less and less competitional turmoil amongst nations, and turmoil will become more and more pointless. The United Nations should be abolished. I don't like the United Nations, but I wouldn't abolish it. automation overall is extremely good for our society. I do think it is a really good thing. I think it's great. I think in the short term it is affecting people that we should take care of. So I actually do think it is an extremely good thing. It's just in the short term it could also be a really actually no, I'm gonna go back. It could be a really bad thing, because even though it's a great thing for society, it like if we don't monitor wealth income inequality, it could lead to the Bolshevik Revolution. Because like when the communist revolution in Russia happened, people were being pushed out of their jobs overnight into factories. People were starving. People were working in unsanitary, unsafe factories. Basically, people's livelihood were being wiped out, and there was nothing for them to take care of them. And the government just sort of wrote them off. Like, I guess that's one thing that I'm sick of. Like, I guess I'm sick of seeing people that try hard being written off if there's no room for them in their economy, and if they are actually willing to work hard. Like, especially in such a wealthy nation, like, if you have the resources, I don't see why we have so many goddamn homeless people. The general populace makes poor decisions. And then the other thing I want to get into right here is, like, the average cost of a house in Canada is, I think now when I Googled it, it was 500,000. It used to be 400,000 last year. The United States is about 200,000. So the cost of living up here in Canada is a bit higher. So, like, when you have a higher cost of living, you're going to have more homeless people that aren't lazy, if you know what I'm saying. If the wages don't keep up. Globalism, they're going to turn the frogs gay with their 5G unless we suck down the... Yeah, something like that. Industrial Revolution, yeah, hey, now the machines, cars do so much work. Maybe we can take it easy and fill our time with worthwhile, venture. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I mean, the general populace makes poor decisions. Like, I guess I agree, kind of. But honestly, I think most people make a mixture of good and bad decisions. I think people just hold people to such a high account. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. Like I said, I kind of want to close the gap between the wealthy and the poor. But at the same time, I don't know how to do it, so taxes should be increased. I kind of agree, I guess. I don't know. I guess. Like, I just don't know. Because I don't know what policy would sort of close the gap. And one of the other problems is like if you subscribe to Andrew Hedison from Nomad Capitalist, he often complains about how nations are making it harder for countries to pull their money out of their nation. Well, no fucking shit. When when anyone can pull their money out of your nation and drive your nation bankrupt, they're going to have policies in place so you don't fuck the nation. Like that, like I remember Andrew Hedison had this video talking about how, like, from Nomad Capitalist, you should pay attention to how a country treats you when the chips are down. And he's talking about nations like essentially seizing assets to provide for the poor. That he talks about as if it's like this global atrocity. Like, it's COVID right now. It's an international depression. Some people are fucking starving, and you're worrying about your fucking piles of cash as if that's a tragedy. Like, what the fuck do you expect? It's like, oh my fucking god, like, cry me a river. And, like, I'm not a communist. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of an international depression. In a world where no one complained to work more than 4 hours a day. Every person possessed a scientific uh, curiosity will be able to indulge it, and every painter will be able to paint without starving. Something like that. However excellent is the picture may be, young writers will not be obligated to draw attention to themselves by situational pot boilers. Okay. With a, by the way, history's lowest IQ, terrible at reading. With a view to acquiring the economic independence needed for monumental works, for which, when the time at least comes, they will have lost the taste and capacity. I'm kind of a little bit tired. Yeah. Honestly, I didn't really get that one. I'm kind of tired. I guess I agree. Yeah, people should have equal opportunity to succeed. Um, this is actually kind of where I'm neutral. Like, I'm not against I'm not against some concept of people being rich, and some people being rich, they have more opportunity to succeed. Like, this is where efficiency comes into conflict with fairness or justice. Um, and I'd say like some people having more of an opportunity to succeed isn't always a bad thing. Like someone being able to inherit money, I'm not against that. My only problem, honestly, I'm not even. I don't even think I'd be for an inheritance tax. It's just like I keep saying this. If you got rid of alimony, and if you gave everyone a UBI, I promise you, business owners will not pull their money out of this nation, out of your fucking nation. I promise you. No millionaire or billionaire is going to worry about somehow taking him to the divorce court. Like seriously, would you rather pay 10% but have to worry about going through the divorce court and being like having your ass taken through the mud, or would you rather pay 50% and never have to worry about that? I'd rather pay 50%. Because the next time you get married, that shit's gonna happen to you again. Like honestly, like if we just had policies that made sense, like, and as the more I've thought about it, like alimony, you're actually financially incentivizing business owners to have double business overhead. So if your business overhead is 1 million, if you're worrying about alimony and child support, you'd want to have 2 or 3 million on top of that, because half that's going towards alimony if you get divorced. So you need to have your business overhead times 2 or 3 if you have a wife and kids. So you're actually financially incentivizing the hoarding of cash. But that's just me thinking about it. Like, I don't know, but nobody but me can represent my views. Sort of adequately, yeah. Elections are a waste of resources. Neutral, kind of, yeah, but not really. Honestly, no, I'll go back. I disagree. Immigration can never really adapt to our way of life. Oh, immigrants. Sorry, yeah, immigrants. Tired. Immigrants can never fully. The goal isn't to like crack them and to make them fully integrate and assimilate. The goal is to like in my ideal society, I want people coming to my nation expecting to leave some aspect of their culture tradition behind. So like Canada's multicultural is a multicultural attitude, and one of my problems with this is people will often come to Canada, and I've experienced this firsthand. They'll come to Canada with this expectation and entitlement of pushing their culture on you. And if you point it out to some immigrants, you'll have to deal with this very entitled defensive attitude, where you might have accusations of racism or this or that, third. But in particularly, like a great example of this is one time I lent something to a friend when I was younger, and in his culture, if you lend something to him, you're supposed to come pick it up. But where I'm from, if somebody needs you to lend something to them, it's their job to return it. And his family was super angry at me and whatnot. And I understand that when you get angry at somebody, it's often a form of manipulation. Emotional manipulation. You're manipulating their anxiety, their need to feel approved. And when you have large amounts of immigrants that aren't integrating and assimilating, you have that problem. But the goal isn't for them to fully integrate and assimilate. It's just for them to understand that they have to try and um, culturally not only adapt but also respect the current cultures there. Like honestly, it was pretty terrible too. Like some of them would actually constantly race bait. That's what I meant by like when you have multiculturalism that just isn't quite working out perfectly. It's like constant race baiting, and I often felt like I was amongst two different tribes of people that were just acting like 4-year olds, and it was stressful too, and like yeah, like quite like I've been refused to be hired because I wasn't Hispanic, because I wasn't Muslim, because I wasn't Sikh, because I wasn't Chinese. And the thing is, I've worked for a Chinese man, I've worked for a Sikh man, I've worked for a Muslim man, and I've worked for a Hispanic. They're not all racist, but like when you have people coming to your nation with this with the mindset that they could do whatever they did in their past nation, it does create a number of issues. Any religious organizations in any way? I don't know. I kind of agree. Yeah, like my goal isn't here like to. It's not to race bait about immigrants because like I want immigrants to come to my nation. Um, because that's not the goal. Like the goal isn't like oh all immigrants bad, right? No, the whole point of this conversation is that immigration can be confrontational amongst different groups of people if people aren't getting along. So it's not like an anti-immigrant like let's stop all the immigrants. No, um, it's immigrants have to be mindful of the country they come to. A government must maintain a strong military to defend itself. I agree. No, not really. Religious clothing should be banned from public. Like I don't know, it depends, right? It's kind of like the banning of the niqab and burqa and shit. Like Turkey did that originally, and it kind of helped progress the nation. It helped normalize and destigmatize not wearing a burqa or niqab or hijab. But at the same time, when you ban it, it's not the same as somebody taking off the niqab or burqa or hijab and that person doing it of their own free will. It's the state coming in and telling you have to take it off. So I mean, like, no, I disagree. Like, I'm open to it, but I generally don't like it. People should be given freedom whenever it causes little security risk. I'd say I generally agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, each freedom is debatable, so you have to go case by case. When it comes to security risk and well-being, I guess leaders must be strong, or a nation will suffer. I don't know. Like, I guess, yeah. Weak leaders are pretty bad. Every religion must be looked upon equally by the government. Strongly disagree. Like, that's a reason why we have, like, fucking suicide. Traditions are important. I say I strongly agree. Like, traditions can change. Like, that's the thing. I'm for traditions, just not traditions of the past. I like the metaphorical truths from religion. We can take some of the metaphorical truths, and we can get rid of the religion itself, kind of, and make our traditions. Nations should not maintain a military. Strongly disagree. Nations fighting among each other gets in the way of progress. Well, you're actually progressing your nation's, you're progressing humanity's tools for war through war. So I mean, like, what do you define as progress? Like, that's another philosophical topic, right? We should be more accepting of other cultures. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I'm not against the idea of accepting. Yeah, you want to accept other cultures. You don't want to be a bigot, right? Capitalism is better than any existing alternative. I guess I agree. Actually, no, I strongly agree. I haven't been convinced anything else really works perfectly. I hate capitalism, but I'm for it. Democracy is more than a decision-making process. Mm, I don't know. I haven't thought about the philosophy of what democracy is. I don't know. I haven't philosophically thought about it. People should hold more loyalty to their local state than their country. I disagree. That's like subjective to the individual. So I'd say neutral. Police should be regulated more. Yeah, you want to regulate your police. You want to have regulations, but like it depends on the state you're in. Like if I was in the United States, I'd say yeah. In Canada, maybe not so much, but in general, I agree that they should be regulated. So I don't like the phrasing of it, but I think I understand the point of the question. Yeah, I get the point of the question. Oh, welcome whoever just joined back. Welcome, welcome. Only those who serve in the military should be allowed to have influence on who is in power. Only those who serve in the military should be allowed to have influence on who is in power. Only those who serve in the military should be allowed to have influence. Like one of the nice things when you have people who've actually worked in the military is you have people who empathize with soldiers in the front lines. You no longer have a suit and tie who you remove the suit and tie who is born purely out of privilege. And whether somebody's born to privilege or not, they do have to earn it to some extent. So that's kind of like one of the nice things when you elect people who've already served in the military. But just because somebody served in the military doesn't mean that they're going to be the best leader, right? So I'd say, like, it depends, like, on what you mean by that. So I'd say I disagree. Or, I'd say, yeah, neutral. Because the country should have some level of loyalty. Like, I do believe in some level of nationalism. I'd probably say, like, I'm 55. Like, I'd probably say, like, 65 to maybe, like, 55% nationalistic. Slightly nationalistic, not, like, dude. You just put a link in the chat. Like, honestly, I think I made it so links can't really be put in the chat. Like, I don't know, what video were you recommending? But nationalism isn't a good or bad thing. Nationalism can be a bad thing. So, and it easily turns into a very bad thing, especially when everything's globalizing. We are first and foremost citizens of the earth. Like neutral? Like there does need to be some level of globalism. State and local laws should have precedence over national laws. I guess I'd say I'm more like 60% towards nationalism. Probably I'd say if I had to guess, state and local laws should have precedence over nationalism. Should your state be able to override your nation, your federal government? Unsure. Depends on the situation. Like it makes it more complicated. But neutral. Like I guess it depends on the state. Tradition just hinders the progress of technology. Strongly disagree. There should not be international law. Like that depends. International law isn't a bad thing. So neutral, it's not a good thing or a bad thing. We must go back on the basic way of life without modern communities. Strongly disagree. Sex outside marriage is immoral. Um, so like, this is like metaphorically true, factually false. So like, no, it's not immoral. But the thing is from what I've seen so far from studies, people that wait more longer to have sex with a partner or spouse that they are connected with. Generally, there's a better relationship. Like people who have had sex after marriage are more less likely to fail. Blah blah. But metaphorically true, factually false. That's what religion is. So I would just say neutral. I don't really care. Like if you and also like keep in mind, I'm not like one of those. Wait until you get married to have sex. No, I'm just not a huge fan of hookup culture. You're just giving people a great opportunity. It's such a great market for people to cheat, commit infidelity, and even break up families. I'm just not a huge fan of hookups. And not to say that like I would like legislate it out. I just don't think it should be encouraged. Obviously, hookups. If you want to do that, fine. I don't care. It's your choice, right? Also, people that have, I think there's studies that have shown that people who have hookup after hookup are more likely to be depressed and suffer from anxiety. You know, it's one of these things about the manosphere that people are so fucking dishonest about is like, do men have issues connecting after they've had a number of sexual partners? Like, do women have an issue? Like, there's higher divorce rate the more sexual partners a woman has, but for some reason we don't seem to have studies or no, it's like it's harder to find studies about men's sexual history and how it affects them. It's like it's something that I try to dig up, and I keep having issues with it. It's easier to find studies on women. It's so much tougher to find studies on men. It's a pain in the ass. But that is the nature of research. That is the nature of empirical evidence. Humans, their fucking emotions disgust me. I just want the goddamn facts. The government should not break up monopolies. Oof. I'd say like neutral. Like this is like I've been thinking a lot about this. Like I like the idea of breaking up monopolies, but at the same time, like if a nation, like if do I want to break up Disney's monopoly? What if we don't break up Disney? What if we just tax the hell out of them? Like that's another option too. Like they have absorbed so much of the free market. Because monopolies aren't great for free markets, but at the same time, if somebody is there because they're winning, whatever. Like honestly, I don't even think I want intervention to break up these monopolies. I think I just want like regulation of like deregulation and new regulate like deregulation into the free market. So weakening patents, copyright laws, maybe a UBI, and there we go. I'm good. Even if it's like $100, $200 a month, like even if it's a non-living standard UBI, like not sure how I feel on a living standard. A country cannot function without a national government. A country cannot function without a national. No, I think like it depends on how you set it up, right? Like you could have a really weak national government and have most of the state run by more local communities. Um, like economics and politics is very subjective, and it's very emotionally charged, and it's also rooted by our chemistry and biology. Like when we hear policies and things we like, we get a hit of dopamine, reinforcing our cognitive biases. It's very addictive. It is important that we further my group's goals above all others. What? No. Like I think, like I said, I think I slightly lean like you wanna look out for your nation's interest, but you also need to and your tribe's interest, whatever. But you need to, yeah, you don't want to become a hypocrite, nor like how do I say, you don't want to commit atrocities that will be regretted in the future. Only those who served in the military should be able to gain power in the government. Like I said, neutral. Like I see the benefit in it, but I wouldn't really implement that. National government must be strong to adequately protect all of its citizens. Kind of agree. Strong states weaken a nation. Neutral. Democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the others we've tried. Yeah. Yes. Terrible way to run a country, but it's the best thing we got. Military spending is a waste of money. That's kind of true. Because like the thing is, a good military is a great fucking way to defend your nation. It's a great way to protect your interests, but at the same time, it is a economic pyramid scheme. It is a fucking economic power, like money vacuum. It is a waste of money. So I kind of agree. Victimless crimes such as drugs use should not be crimes at all. Depends on what you define as victim, right? Like, but yeah, generally I strongly agree. Faith is complete nonsense. So I'm gonna say religion. Like when people say faith, they mean religion. So I'd say agree. Local governments address that the national government would never touch without them. Local governments address issues that the national government would never touch without them. Local governments address issues. Yeah, I strongly agree. The government must be the people. The government must be the people for the people. Yeah, I strongly agree. People's freedom should have no limits. Fucking strongly disagree. Like, freedom is this silly notion and concept when you philosophically think about it, because even though it is important, but at the same time, absolute freedom is a silly notion and concept. Because, like, most people I talk to with freedom, I almost feel like they're committing a special pleading fallacy. Like, they create special pleads for their bias of what they perceive to be freedom. Like, the freedom to own private property can limit your workers' freedom, economically speaking. In fact, if they're so economically impoverished, and if there's little to no way up for them, and healthcare isn't affordable, then they don't really have a right to life if they can't even get clean drinking water. If you don't make it a right to have clean drinking water. So I mean, like, freedoms contradict one another. My freedom to make profit and to benefit off the profit of my workers negates my workers' freedom to actually profit from their gains of their labor. So freedoms contradict. So absolute freedom, no go. There has to be some limit and authority. A country must be sure to take all measures to enforce its laws. I guess neutral. A nation has to be able to enforce its laws, but like, you don't want to live in 1984, right? People must be allowed to follow a religion. Yeah, people should be allowed to. Lasting peace leads to prosperity. Yeah, I'd say that. Constant state of war benefits a country. No. Technology is not always beneficial. What do you think of that? Is technology not always beneficial? I guess I agree. Or I'd say, like, it agrees in, like, what context. I'd say neutral. Like, it depends. Like, who's it beneficial for? Public opinion swings too much with emotional events to be useful for policy making. Neutral. Just because it's a bad thing doesn't mean that it's a better alternative, right? So yeah, it's not good, but what else do we have? Societies could not function without leaders and followers. Yeah, you do need. Yeah, you do need justified hierarchies. I'd say I strongly agree. Most drugs should be legalized. Strongly agree. We should put effort into getting a person on the Mars in the near future. Honestly, I don't fucking care about that shit anymore. Well, why should we be like? Don't get me wrong. I get the benefit of working on these technologies, but why should I care when there's so much fucking poverty? When there's so many fucking people starving? Like, I don't know. I don't fucking know. Local governments should have more power than they currently do. We have no rights to military intervention in other nations. People should have the power to choose their leaders. Agree. Subdivisions of nations should have their own militaries. I don't know. I support a single-payer universal health care. Shouldn't, No, I disagree. I support national single-payer health care. Honestly, it comes down to how much money you have in your nation, how wide you can expand your medical coverage. Children should be educated in religious values. I disagree. Like, people should have their rights to, but at the same time, I don't like it. Legal immigrations do not provide a benefit to the hosting country. Actually, no, they do provide a lot of benefits. But at the same time, like, this is also the problem. Because, like, illegal immigrants, they can't really get on to Social Security. But at the same time, they also take money. They also take jobs from legal immigrants. At the same time, it's one of these issues because my problem isn't even really with the illegal immigrants. It's the fact that we have states that don't actually care about their citizens. We have leaders that are there from privilege and power and from lobbyist elites. And affordability never seems to become more affordable for the poor. And I just don't give a shit about illegals in that sense, and because our nation doesn't even care about the people in its nation to begin with. So I highly doubt, like, nothing ever really gets solved. Do not provide a benefit to the host. So I mean, like, they provide positives and negatives. A group of states without a strong national government is merely an alliance, not a nation. Strong national government. Like, it depends on how you define it. I mean, I don't know. Government should be concerned about foreign citizens as they are about those within their borders. Strongly disagree. Your nation has its duty to your citizens. Yeah, have a good night, dude. Nighty night. Alright. Countries fall apart with constant war. Not always, but Um, a lot of times, yeah, but not always. Creating, catering to popular opinion is uh, list history's lowest IQ. Catering to popular opinion is detrimental to a nation. Neutral. Like, to some extent, you have to look out for what your people want. To some extent, you need to care about popular opinion as a leader. And to some extent, you have to take a stand against the popular opinion if you don't believe it's justified. Those who do not work should die. Nah, that's fucking crazy. Strongly disagree. My nation is closer to my views than most nations in the world. Neutral. Most nations don't fit my views. A nation usually needs a military in order to survive. Does it disagree? A nation usually needs a military in order to survive. I mean, yeah, I generally say I agree. Generally needs one, yeah, not always. Yeah. Those who disagree with the government should be removed from the country. No. Your government has to earn your patriotism. You can't force it. Environmental regulations are essential. Generally, I'd say I agree. Like, I'm open to some means of damaging the environment for money. Hate to say it, but generally speaking, you want to protect your water. You want to protect natural resources. Global warming, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, practicality, economics, blah, 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 diplomacy. And sometimes, when you try to make policies for whatever, and, you don't always end up protecting your nation's resources. Sometimes you just import it from overseas. Diplomacy only hurts nations. Get the fuck out of here. It is important to maintain our national sovereignty. I guess I agree. Diplomatic options should always be tried before war is even considered. Always, that depends. Like, if somebody's invading your nation directly, then no, it's time for war. So I guess I'd say neutral. There is no higher power. Yeah, I'd say I agree with that. But I don't know. Like, I don't believe in one, so I'd say I agree with it, but I'm not sure. So I'd say yeah, I guess I kind of agree. It is necessary for the government to intervene in the economy to protect consumers. It is necessary for the government to intervene in the economy to protect consumers. It is necessary for a government to intervene in the economy. Well, yeah, you do need some level of protectionist policies. Like, you can't have lead in toys. In general, immigrants are bad for the country. Strongly disagree. Immigrants are a net positive. Yeah, I'd say I generally agree. Alliances can pose a threat to a nation's sovereignty. Um, uh, yeah, it can to some extent, but it's not necessarily a good or bad thing. There should be um, com- 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 uh, what is that word? Compulsory. Required by law or rule. Compulsory. Okay, learned a new word today. There should be compulsory military service. No, neutral. Technology progress is usually good. Um, like I'm actually for mandatory service. I'm just against mandatory deployment. I don't believe in mandatory deployment unless like it's absolutely do or die. Technological progress is usually good. Technological Yeah, I'd say I agree. I'd say I strongly agree. A military option should be a military option should be considered. Neutral depends on the situation. People should have the right to leave their wealth to their descendants. Actually, this is something I generally agree. I don't like the idea of a wealth tax. Like, if you need to tax the rich more than tax them more, don't fucking do a wealth tax. It's stupid. Like, because like, at that point, you're just incentivizing people to pull their money out of their nation. So that way, they pay less in the wealth tax. Like, I hate the idea of a wealth tax. Um, from a practical standpoint, not from a theoretical standpoint. Excuse me. Genetic modification is a force for good, even on humans. Yeah. Like if we can genetically modify out diseases, so if we can actually prevent diseases from being born in babies, I think that's a good thing. Like that doctor in China who tried to prevent a child from being born with like STD, where China got blasted in the media. I don't honestly, I don't see anything wrong with that. Their parents wanted to do that. That was a And yeah, is it genetically modifying a human being? Sure, but at the same time, genetically modifying a human being isn't always a bad thing. If we can genetically modify out diseases, or maybe I'm not choosing the perfect words, that's a good thing. And if I'm not choosing the perfect words, well, then tell me in the comments. The United Nations needs more power. Disagree. Alliances are important for protecting a nation. Yeah, I agree. Actually, I strongly agree. When people have already suffered for technology to be developed, we should use that. When people have already suffered for technology, to be developed, we should use that technology. Just because people have suffered for the technology doesn't mean the technology itself should be used. Like, I don't know, suffering seems like a very strange justification. I could suffer for anything. That doesn't mean it should be used. The national government can't understand what the people need. Neutral. Kind of, yeah. The poor choose to be poor. I fucking hate this thing. So, this is something I'm actually, like, neutral on in the sense of, on one hand, it is social mobility. You as an individual being poor, that is not because of, like, statistically, if it wouldn't be you, if you would not be poor working like a minimum wage job, it would have been somebody else. Could you affect your ability to be more successful? Yes. But the thing is, everyone can't make a six figure. There's not enough room in the economy. Not everyone's going to be a millionaire. Not everyone's going to be a billionaire. Especially if you have a family or kids. So, the idea of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is a half truth. Because it's social mobility and it's your personal decisions. Public utilities like roads and electricity should be publicly owned. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about private electrical companies. Roads, I don't see what's honestly. I've heard ANCAPs talk about private roads, and they actually do have a point. Like, if there's not enough money being invested into an area for travel, then sure, it might be nice for some people traveling to have roads. Sure, it might help with a lot of means of traveling and transportation, but then again, if it's more affordable just to get somebody on a plane and to put their to get to hire a company just to get a bunch of luggage on a plane, then why not just do that? I guess what I'm trying to say is, if a road isn't really being used a whole lot, then should we really pay to have it paved with taxpayer money and maintained? But at the same time, roads actually create public transportation, which is also economically good. So I mean, like, I'm unsure. Democracy makes it easier for a majority to further itself at the expense of the minority. Um, you could say that for anything, and just because it's at the expense of another person, that doesn't mean it's justified or unjustified. So I'd say neutral. Like, I don't really care. That doesn't. A nation should cooperate whenever it is beneficial, benefits them both. Nations should cooperate whenever it benefits them both. How do I feel about that? I guess. Depends on the situation, so I guess I agree. I believe in a higher power. No, stop asking me that. My religious values should be spread as much as possible. I disagree. Actually, I strongly disagree. It is better to maintain balanced budget than to ensure welfare for all citizens. Neutral. Mm. Yeah, it depends on the situation, right? Like during COVID, like if you're gonna have a government shutdown, I am not against government spending, deficit spending, but generally I'm against deficit spending. But if you're gonna have a shutdown, like a shutdown, then I'd say there's more benefit to deficit spending than there is to there's more benefit to deficit spending than there is to potential rioting and chaos. And to be honest, I like if there's nothing for people, if they're going to starve to death, I don't blame them for rioting. There's no need for a national government. Oppression by corporation is more of a concern than oppression by the government. Actually, I'd strongly agree. Corporations greatly concern me because one of the concepts of like one of the conceptual ideas of like a capitalist free model is people once they you know one of the concepts that have sort of been created over the ages. One of the ideas, I think this was with the United States, I could be wrong. One of the ideas is that when you retire, your kid can get a job and he can open up his own business as he gets older. Corporations have monopolized wealth. Um, and at the end of the day, like it's the real problem here. It isn't the fact that I have a problem with rich people existing. Is um, my problem is that corporations can monopolize a large chunk of the market. So if you appeal to, let's say, if you appeal to someone's success, like if you say, oh, well, you become a rich YouTuber. Well, how many rich YouTubers are there? What is a social mobility? Is there an opportunity for everyone to become a rich YouTuber? No. So how is that really a? That's not practical for the most people. It's just it's a red herring from the problem. And this is something that the right does. They usually do red, like a lot of people on the right have a tendency of resorting to red herrings on these subjects. Um, I think red herrings are very commonly used in economics, like because it's easy to try and detract to um, what reconfirms your confirmation bias. The government should not regulate the economy at all. Uh, Disagree. Like, I want the free market, but at the same time, I don't want it going into the fucking ground. Government surveillance is necessary in the modern world. Uh, yeah, neutral. Our culture would be better with other cultures mixed in more. I mean, in theory, I'm neutral. Depends. Like, generally, I'm for assimilation. Religions must decline for society to progress. Kind of agree. Religion is beneficial for society. Actually, no, go back. Actually, no, I think I'll take. It does offer community. The problem I have with the problem I have is as we've replaced religion. Sorry, as we've removed religion, we haven't actually considered something to replace it. Most atheists will just bring up really, really, really pointless talking points. Because the thing is you can go to bars, you can go to a park, but there's very few places where you can go to actually have a community where you don't spend money. So we haven't really replaced religion. We've just, a lot of atheists and anti-theists and agnostic atheists just bash on religion. Yeah. All right. Technology is negatively affecting modern society. There's some negatives, yeah. There are many issues that it does not make sense to address at the local level. All societies are a blend of cultures, pretty much. The freer the market, the freer the people. Kind of agree with that notion. Like, this is my thing, like, my problem isn't, like, with, I don't like the idea of regulating someone's opportunity to own a business. I'm not against taxing people. I am against, making business complicated. A better world would come from automation, science, and technology. Strong agree. Everybody should speak at least 2 languages. Why? Countries that violate human rights should be toppled. Yeah, not sure about that. Religion should be banned. No. The United Nations should have a military to enforce its resolutions. That sounds kind of terrifying. Laws should vary from area to area, country to culture within a country. Actually, I'll go back. I'm not sure on this one. Should vary from area to area, culture to culture within a country. Just neutral. Quality of outcome is important. No. Economics without any capitalism will collapse. I guess I agree. Like, I don't know. One day we might find we might find we might find a better model one day. That is possible, but that's one day. Countries that do not serve our interests should be toppled. Disagree. You need a good justification for toppling a country. You can't just topple a country because it's not in your interest. So we should be taking in more refugees. Honestly, no, I disagree. Like, there's going to be a lot of refugees in the world. And one of the problems is, like, it's very, having a refugee in a first world is very, very expensive. It's a lot cheaper to help them in their own nation, but then there's the other problems. Like, it's also beneficial for politicians because then they're buying votes, because then the refugees will vote for the politicians that are going to bring more refugees and save more of them. But realistically, what they're just doing is you're buying international votes. And at the same time, it's cheaper to help the refugees within their own nation, because helping them within their own nations could be like $100, per refugee, $10 a month, $20 a month. It could be, but in helping them in a nation, that could be $2,000 a month. That's like, it's drastically higher. $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month to help a refugee. Like, all the expenses, 10,000. Like, it's the cost is insane. So, like, we can't be the welfare state for the entire world, but at the same time, do I think we should help them? Yes. Like, I think we should help them, but I don't think we should be taking them in. So I guess I'll go like, and even if we do, like, it's also terrible for the country that we're taking them from, because how are these countries ever going to build back up if we keep all the refugees that come to our nations? So I guess I'd say, like, I don't know, I guess, disagree. Laws should be completely consistent within all religions of a nation. Yeah, having consistent laws is good, I guess. Nobody in other countries has our best interest in mind. Yeah. They usually have theirs. Genetically modified should be used rarely, if not ever. Disagree. Traditions are of no value on their own. Disagree. Strongly disagree. Testing products on animals is ethical. Strongly disagree. I support unions such as the European Union. Fuck the EU. What was it? Their attacks on plant-based food, anti-free speech. Like, the EU is like a far-left authoritarian organization. Like, as much as I don't like hate speech, I remember him talking about how the LGBT parade in Romania was supported by the EU. And there is a legitimate argument to be had, like, as much as I'm for the LGBT community, if you sort of fund it through the EU, you're just going to create resentment towards an outside organization. It's kind of like Canada funding a gay pride parade in Turkey. It might just create more resentment towards the LGBT community, or towards Canada. And I guess what I'm trying to say is a nation needs to decide for itself how progressive it wants to be. And obviously, I'm against homophobia, right, and hatred towards gays. But, like, what I'm trying to say here is the EU just has its habit of forcing its way onto the nations under its control. And even with Britain, it's like they can't get out of the EU. Like, honestly, if I was Great Britain, I would probably just refuse to pay the EU back for any debts. I would just basically say, fuck you, EU. I'm not paying you back for any goddamn debts. We're fucking done. We're not giving you any of our goddamn money. Like, I would just give them the middle finger. Tell them we're done trading with you. Fuck you. But, whatever. People should have to work for anything they get. Like, honestly, just the EU in general, like, their anti-freedom speech laws, their what was it? Their what was it? Their anti-meme laws with YouTube. Just fuck the EU. Like I like the fact that they're a military organization. Like I like the fact they're an alliance, but that's about it. Like I think Europe could just have like a European NATO, and then just throw the European Union in the garbage. There we go. The other second thing is they do crack down on corruption. They do try to push against anti-corruption policies in Europe, but that's just in general. I'm not a huge fan of the EU. What it's turned into. People should have to work for anything they get. No, I disagree. Like honestly, no, yeah, I disagree. People are entitled to certain things. I think, like clean drinking water, healthcare. States cannot function without a strong national government. Once again, disagree. My nation should stay out of international affairs. Border protection is important. Yeah, I guess I agree. No, I'd say I strongly agree. Honestly, like even if you're going to take in immigrants, like refugees, they should still be they should still have to register at the border. Like I don't care. Like yeah, a nation's culture is important to protect. I kind of agree. Like it also depends on what the nation's values is. Like, is its values justified or is it not justified? Is its values better or not better? So, all humans share a common identity. Uh, I wish. I disagree with that. People should vote issue by issue themselves. Neutral. AI could rule more effectively than humans. Then AI should rule. Honestly, disagree. Honestly, I like the idea in the sense that an AI would be more efficient, but I wouldn't trust an AI. Disagree. Marijuana should be legalized. Strongly agree. Nation must obey its leadership without question. A nation must obey its leadership without question. I'd say no, I disagree. Police need more power and protection. Like, what is more? Gosh, politics is so reactionary. Traditional medicines are often more effective than modern medicines. I don't know. I haven't read the consensus. Haven't looked over any studies. Military action by our nation is often necessary to protect it. No, you can often do diplomacy, so I mean, like, that's kind of neutral. I'd say disagree. People should not have protection that could hinder discovering their criminal activity. Wait, what? People should not have protections. People should not have protections that. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, they're. It really depends. Circumstantial. Like people should have protections. But at the same time, if they're like, we have things like search warrants for a reason, right? So You have the right to privacy up until a point. The national government needs more power. Our national governments are generally too powerful, I'd say, in the modern era, North America. Local governments can't understand their citizens better than the nation government could. Also, I generally say strongly agree. The internet should be banned. What the fuck? Strongly disagree. It is important that the government follows the majority opinion, even if it is wrong. That sounds stupid. It's circumstantial, where usually leads to worse outcomes. Honestly, no, I'd say strongly disagree. War, actually, no, I'd say disagree. War usually leads to worse outcomes. Yeah, agree. Subdivisions should not be able to exempt from national laws. Subdivisions should not be able to exempt from national laws. I don't even know what that means. I don't know, neutral. I don't know. Subdivision should not be able to exempt from national laws. I guess I disagree. I don't know. Basic things need to live, such as healthcare, are rights. Yeah, water, healthcare, like living should be a right in a first world nation. How we implement that is up for debate, whether via private or public. But it should be a right. Most bad things happening in the world are caused by us turning away from religion. I'd say that's most good things. Government-owned industries is usually a bad idea. Actually, I've thought a lot about this. I'd actually say I disagree. Like, if you have a government that owns a liquor store and actually creates revenue, then, I mean, like, isn't that more capitalistic than, and even more libertarian than, say, taxes? So, I mean, like, I don't, no, I kind of disagree. The government, actually, no, I'd say neutral. Because, yeah, it's usually bad when government starts seizing lots of property and lots of businesses. Yeah, because, like, the idea of government-owned businesses isn't always a bad thing. But if governments own too many businesses, that is a bad thing, I'd say. The government should... Actually, yeah. I guess, yeah, I'd say I strongly agree. It says government-owned industries is usually... So even though government-owned businesses can be a good thing, I'd say usually is a bad idea. So I'd say I strongly agree. Or actually, no, fuck. Actually, no, I say strongly agree. The government should support and only recognize one religion. Strongly disagree. Are extremely talented immigrants, if that should be permitted to enter the country. Actually, I guess I agree. Strongly disagree. Fuck that BLM bullshit. Absolute freedom makes a society dangerous. God, I hate BLM. Like, the only thing I like about BLM is, like, when I see someone, like, with a BLM hat, like, I don't know, how do I say this nicely? If I'm, like, watching a red pill content creator and he has a hat saying Black Lives Matter, like the poor man's podcast. I don't know if he'll become cringe like the vast majority of the red pill. The red pill community is like it is artards on steroids. It is the most toxic, absurd community I've ever been a part of. It is the most absurd community I've ever seen that has science on its side. Um, but the thing is if I see someone wearing a hat, I know they're not just taking a caricature of a position. Like if they have a hat saying BLM. So if there's like, for example, if there's somebody in a right-leaning area that's left-leaning, that thinks for, they're usually going to be more likely to think for themselves. So there's someone in a left-leaning part of the world who's more right-leaning. They usually think more for themselves. You know, just a random thought. Absolute freedom makes a society dangerous. Yeah. What is absolute freedom? Like, it's so subjective. So yeah, I'd say I agree. Or yeah, I'd say I strongly agree. State laws should have a precedence over national laws. Neutral. The government should have access to email suspected terror. Oh, suspected terror. Okay. Government should have access to emails of suspected terrorists. I'd say neutral. Like, once again, if the government's going to have the right, I don't think the government should have the right to check anyone's email. I think like they're kind of like a warrant. There needs to be like a process to protect someone's privacy. And also, I'm not sure even if it's a good thing to check emails. Like, I haven't looked at the studies if it stops terrorism. People should think of themselves as citizens of their nation rather than their state. People can think of what they want. It is important to maintain law and order. Yeah, not at any cost, right? Even when protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. I would say I generally agree. Like, because if you're violent, then you're going to give the state a justification to crack down on you. But if you're not harming anybody, then it makes them look bad. But at the same time, if you're in an authoritarian state, sometimes the only thing you have left to do is violence. Sometimes anarchy and destruction is the only thing you have left. Theocracy. Oh, so like a religious state. Theocracy is a good system of government. Strongly disagree. A hierarchical state. A hierarchical state is the best. A hierarchy in a state. A hierarchical state is the best. Like there's always going to be hierarchy, so like what type of hierarchy? So I guess unsure, like what does that even fucking mean? There's always going to be hierarchy, so like is it a good hierarchy or not? Well, electrons are an effective way of showing government approval. Elections are an effective way of showing government approval. Guess I agree. We should respect those who have served in our military. Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't know, like, if you're in a situation where, like, a war is extremely unjustified, I get why people might not respect what you've done, but we do need to try and respect our men at arms, our men and women in arms, our men in arms. Like, we need to respect uh, our men and women that serve. Having independent Independent nations with the risk of global conflict creates a large threat to humanity as a whole. Having an independent nation with the risk of global conflict. What? Having an independent nation with the risk of global conflict. I'm unsure. I don't know. Only our nation's language should be spoken in our country. That's fucking authoritarian. No, like they should assimilate, but I'm not gonna be authoritarian. Like I'm not gonna kill somebody for speaking Italian. Goddamn. Peace is preferable to war whenever possible. I guess I kind of agree, but like, peace is generally preferable, but it's not always a good thing. Each person should have one vote, each equal to every vote. Yeah, I strongly agree. No authority should be left unquestioned. No authority should be left unquestioned. No authority should be left unquestioned. Yeah, I guess I agree. Religion should be removed from everything in our government. Yeah, I like the idea of it. Excessive government interventions is a threat to the economy. Kind of is, yeah, even if it's justified. There is much, actually no, I'd say like it is always a threat to your economy. There's much to be a separation between church and state. Yeah, I strongly agree. We should not allow any refugees. Strongly disagree. To chase progress at all cost is dangerous. At all costs, that's kind of subjective. So, neutral. Okay, so let's take a look at what I got. So, neutral, 57%. Sorry, federal, 57. Unity, 43. Democracy, 55. Authority, 45. Globalist, 50. Ooh, I got more globalist. I thought I was more isolationist. Neutral. Sorry, yeah. I'm neutral, so militarist, pacifist, security, so slightly more towards freedom, and turns out I'm more capitalist than I thought. Moderate, secular, religious, 43, I guess. So moderate, secular. 56 progressive, traditional, assimilationist, multiculturalist. So these are my axes. I guess I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this right now. Where do I save this? Political tests. And I think I'll tweet that out. Huh. I guess it was more right-leaning than what I thought. I'm like very fucking neutral on just about everything. Except like secular. I'm like actually quite secular. I'm actually not surprised because I actually think of myself as quite apolitical. I see myself as very apolitical on a lot of subjects. I'm just kind of surprised of like what I got. Like I was expecting more towards equality and yeah. 54% in the market. I'm almost neutral on just about fucking everything. All right, everybody. So, yeah, this is it for the podcast. So, for the one study I was talking about internationally inflating the cost of food, link in the description down below. Read up on that. Anyways, keep in mind the article I have, it was an estimate. It doesn't necessarily, like, I'm not going to read through the studies and calculate exactly how they studied. Switching over agricultural crops for animals to humans. But I would say it is a fact that animal agriculture does internationally inflate the cost of food. But anyways, everyone, I hope you're having an amazing Happy New Year's, and I hope your New Year's Day and New Year's Eve was amazing. And yeah, so remember, ladies and gentlemen, to have an amazing. Remember to think for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, and have an amazing 24 hours.